Happy Friday to you. I'm Eric, and you're watching Eric's Crypto Corner. I'm a tax accountant with over 17 years' experience in that industry, and I've been in the crypto space for about 5 years, buying, selling, mining crypto, and also doing some AI rental stuff on the side as well. Let's go ahead and get started with today's video. All right. So as you know, Bitcoin is falling in market value, right? The price of Bitcoin has been going down along with all of other cryptos, right? The last week or two, Bitcoin was at 126,000 a Bitcoin not that long ago, 125, whatever it was. And we get up this morning and it's like, low 80s, 82, 83, something like that. And I just wanted to make a video on how I personally handle my emotional well-being when I see crypto drop like this. And I wanted to share my experiences because I feel like it might be of some value to some viewers out there. And so let's go ahead and talk about that today. Okay, so first of all, I kind of look at investors in crypto as a couple of different, they fall into a couple of different camps, really. Number one, I have the pro 100%, everything I have is in Bitcoin or other cryptos, that they are just all in and they are saying the dollar is going to zero, the world is going to collapse, and everything will be run by Bitcoin, and I want to be a king or queen or whatever. Okay. And I don't fall into that camp, but I do have some people that are like that. And if you are in that camp, you're probably really, really salty that Bitcoin is going down as fast as it's going down in its market cap. I feel bad for you. I really do, because if you're a person that puts everything that you have into crypto, I don't really advise that to really anybody. And I know I'm not a financial planner, I'm a tax guy. But this is just my own personal thing, is that if you can't afford to lose it, right, you shouldn't be putting it in really anything. If you can't afford to eat or pay your mortgage or your rent or your car payment or your health insurance or whatever, the money that you have shouldn't be going into crypto or stocks or anything else, really. It should be going for living. So, if you are one of these people that are just literally on fire right now because Bitcoin is dropping in value, I think you're probably over leveraged. Okay. I think you probably got too much exposure to that. The second camp of folks that I do see in the space are kind of, they like getting their foot wet. They like to diversify. This is one of their assets that they're diversifying into. That's a me bucket. I do diversify into Bitcoin. I have a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of Ethereum, some Solana, some other stuff. And we're going to go through what I have in a little bit here. Not in dollars, but percentages, just so you can see where my risk falls. So I'm kind of a spread around kind of guy. I'm not an all on, 36 red and spin the wheel and see what happens kind of guy. So I like to be in a lot of different things, and Bitcoin being one of those things, and other cryptos being one of those things. And then I really have the camp three, which are just like, I don't want to touch that stuff. All I have is my cash, and I just live in cash. I don't even like investing in stocks or real estate or anything else like that. And I just sit in cash. And as most people that follow inflation know for the last, 3, 4, 5 years, that has really burned those people. They just don't see it, because when they look at their bank account, they see that their dollars are there. And so when they wake up the next day, they go, oh, I got $1,000 in my bank account. Well, tomorrow I still have $1,000, but they don't know that the number of dollars that they have in there is the same, but the purchasing power that they have is going down every single day / month / year. So $1,000 today isn't worth $1,000 in a year from now, really. Is probably worth like $9,000 when you include real inflation, right? Or sorry, $900, not 9,000. But the purchasing power of you hiding in cash doesn't help you in the long run. You're never going to gain anything on that, because the value of the dollar, any other fiat, is going to continue to decrease over time, because that's the way it's designed. It's designed to go down in value over time. That's just how fiat works. Um, so I really have those three types of people that I see during tax time or just throughout my endeavors of day-to-day life. And I just know that, you fall into probably one of those three buckets. Which one you fall in, you can comment below. Maybe we'll do a poll or something like that. But those are the three people that I typically come across. Okay, so on the screen here, what you see is a percentage of my assets plus my wife's, our total wealth. Okay. So really what you see here is where we've invested our money. I guess is what it is. So you can see a very big chunk of our wealth is into the traditional stocks, ETFs. I don't have any mutual funds. I don't like mutual funds, but stocks and ETFs, are obviously the vast majority. By 39% is where our wealth is at. Okay, so over the last, I'm 49 years old. I've been slowly putting money in as we could afford, right? I'm not over leveraging. I'm just as we could afford, put money into our retirement plans really since like my mid 20s. I didn't really start investing into stocks and ETFs until I was probably, 25, 26, maybe even 27. I don't know exactly when, but I just want to say mid ish 20s is when I started putting in like $50 a month or $100 a month into our retirement plan. Now, I'm a big dividend guy. I manage all of our stocks and our ETFs. I don't have a financial planner doing that anymore. So I do all of it myself just through, a platform like Fidelity or Charles Schwab or E-Trade or whatever. You can pick whatever you want to do, but I just like managing my own stuff. Okay. You can hire a financial planner. Totally cool. Nothing against financial planners in this situation. They're great assets to have. I have lots of friends that are financial planners. But I've been putting stuff into this for about 20-ish years, 20 low-ish years, 22, 23 years. Some years we can afford more. Some years we can afford less. Okay. Some years not very much at all, but that's where we're at. Now we bought our house. This is now my third house in my life that I've owned with my wife and myself. And our equity in the house is 33% of our total wealth. So we do have a fair amount of equity. We've been paying a little extra off every month. And I know some people are going to say, well, this is stupid. Why would you do that? I don't disagree with you. But just in my Wisconsin way of thinking, I don't like having a whole lot of debt. So we do have about, 2/3 to 3/4 of our house paid off. And we've owned this one for about 9 years now. So we've been paying a little bit extra on this. Okay. We are probably a little over leveraged in our cash. And I know people are going to yak at me for this too, because, I am overall, I'm a diversified person, but I'm very skewed to conservative, which is why all these stocks and ETFs have some kind of dividend attached to them. We like to pay off our house a little bit early, even though we're at a 2.875, mortgage interest. So yeah, okay, go ahead and put the booze in the comments below now. Why are you paying that off early? Stupid, right? But we are probably a little over leveraged in our cash. So I know that we probably are a little heavy in cash because our cash, I just like to have a little something in there just in case if I know I got a roof coming due for the last 2, 3 years. And every year I go, is this the year? And roofs are not cheap to do. Our furnace is super old. It is I think this house was built in '06. So our furnace is just about at 20 years. I'm waiting for that to go. So I'm just a little bit on the safe side with our cash. We don't have any vehicle payments anymore. We have some vehicles, but we paid them off. But our total value of those vehicles, if I wanted to sell them tomorrow, 8% of our equity. So, you can kind of see that most of our wealth is in stocks, our home, cash, and some is in our vehicles because we do have three of them and they're all paid off. But, they're not worth a ton of money anymore, but, something. Okay. Now we kind of go down to like the frill tier or outside tiers of stuff that we've decided to invest some stuff in. So you can see that 1%, I'm just looking around my camera here, 1% of our total wealth is in either crypto or mining equipment. And so I'm talking about my little solo miners I have downstairs, the computers that I have set up, for AI mining, because we have two of those for Salad. So obviously, I'm not super exposed, to either the digital assets themselves or the items that could make up those assets. And you can see our silver and gold. We do have a little tiny bit of silver and gold, but obviously it's so small it doesn't even register a percentage point here. Okay. This is the zombie apocalypse column. So ever since I watched Walking Dead and we had COVID and all that garbage, we've started putting a little bit of money into, well, what ifs. Okay. This is World War Z kind of stuff. What if, we couldn't get to the grocery store? What if we couldn't get food? What if we had to survive in our home for a certain amount of time? And you can see from a percentage standpoint, I have twice as much into the zombie apocalypse scenario as I do into the digital asset and gold scenario. Okay. So we do have, freeze dried food, water, fire making things. Hell, I've even got a tent in my basement in case if we don't have heat, that we could live in a tent in the winter here. As you know, I'm in Wisconsin. It gets cold for 4 or 5 months a year. And we've also got a little bit of solar, some fruit trees we invested into in the backyard, and of course, my infamous chickens that don't lay me eggs anymore after a couple years. So they like to eat food and cost me money with their coop and everything else like that, but they don't really like to lay me any eggs. I haven't seen an egg in, I want to say 4 months, 3 months, somewhere around there. And half the time they eat their eggs anyway. So this is the diversified portfolio that I have in total. Okay, you can see where I have everything. Now I'm not going to list like couches, clothes, knickknacks, things like that, appliances. I don't care about that stuff. These are just kind of the bigger ticket items for you to look and see what I've got. Okay, so now that you know how I'm kind of diversified between stocks, ETFs, my home, I don't own any rental properties. I wish I did. That's one thing I really kind of regret, is not getting into rental properties prior to inflation going, insane in 2023, 2024, somewhere around there. But we all have our look backs and, oh, should have done this, should have done that. But I do wish that I had a little bit more in the real estate sector. But you will see that I don't have a ton in crypto. But I will tell you that a few years ago, I did have a lot more into crypto. I want to share that little bit of experience with you. I had gotten into crypto, as you know, in 2020. Now, in 2020, when I started buying crypto, it was $8,000 a Bitcoin. All right. 8,000. And I was like, what the heck is this stuff? So when I started buying, I was buying a little bit, 8,000. And then I would get into the mining, and the mining was just providing me with the regular Bitcoin payouts pretty much every day back then. But Bitcoin was going to the moon back in 2021, and it had hit like 35, 36,000. I think it even topped, I want to say 50 something. I'm just going off my memory here. I could probably look up a chart or whatever, but at that time, it was just like Bitcoin is going and going and going. And so when I was mining it and buying it, I was buying it in the 30s and 40s and $50,000 timestamps as well, when those were the prices. And when Bitcoin came crashing down, so this is the I started sweating a lot, all right, back then, because I did have a lot more. And the first thing that came to my mind when it was crashing was, this is going to zero. I've only known Bitcoin for, 2 years, maybe a year and a half at that time. And I'm like, this thing is going to zero. I didn't have faith that it was going to keep its legs underneath it. Okay. I truly thought that it was going to go to zero. So do you know when I sold my Bitcoin, I was watching it go from 50 to 40 to 30 and whatever. And I finally sold out everything I had at around $22,000, $23,000. Now, imagine me watching this continuing to decline, and it declined down to 20 to 15 and whatever, but it stopped at around 15. It did stop and it hit a floor, and then it started coming back up. And it started coming back up, and nobody's talking about it. There's no news, there's no nothing. But all of a sudden, it's $100,000 of Bitcoin in 2025. All right, so in just 2 or 3 years, it went from 15,000 to 100,000. And I definitely learned my lesson. My lesson was I'm not going to buy Bitcoin in hopes of making fiat gains. All right. That's the lesson I pulled away from that. At that time, I didn't have as much money 3 years ago as I do today because I've worked for 3 more years. My wife has worked for 3 more years. We've paid some more stuff down, like on the house thing that we were talking about, paid our cars off. We tried to be fairly debt free. And, we're older, right? Most people watching this video are probably younger than us. But needless to say, I learned that I wanted to own Bitcoin. I just wanted to own it to own it. I didn't care what the conversion was because I wasn't trying to make a profit. So if you have the mindset that you're going to buy and hold it and you're never going to sell it, that's the mindset that I have. I want to buy silver so I have silver. I don't have much of it, but I want to buy it so I have it. So if I ever need it, I have it. I buy bullets and water and fruit trees and even the stupid chickens so that I have them. I'm not looking at making money for it. Even the stocks that I own, I don't plan on selling the stocks like ever. My hope is that we get to the point where we can just live off of the interest, from those stocks, and that our kids can inherit those stocks, and maybe they can, live off the interest, or I don't know, do whatever they want with it. I'll be dead. But needless to say, the concept is I want to own it. I'm not looking at buying at something and waiting a certain amount of time and then selling it and then making a fiat gain. Now, there are traders out there that are fantastic at that. That's not me. I'm a buy and hold kind of guy. I learned 5 years ago or 4 years ago that I'm not going to panic sell. And that's why I'm not super excited about even if the stock market comes crashing down. Okay, fine. I still own Coke. I still own Pepsi. I still own Walmart. And if I see one of those companies going to zero, well, maybe I'll sell that particular stock. But I'm not going to have a lack of faith in the businesses that are being run. Just like I don't have a lack of faith in Bitcoin. I believe in Bitcoin. I believe cryptocurrency, and I believe blockchain and AI, and these things are the way of the future. And so I want to be exposed to that to some degree. Now, what degree you want to be exposed to it, that's why they call it personal finance, right? So you may have a different risk tolerance than I do. You may want to be way more exposed to crypto than I am. Heck, you may want to have no exposure to crypto if you're in that bucket 3 of type of people that I was talking about early in the video. So that's kind of the summary of how I deal with these types of huge drops in market value, whether it's stock market, home value, crypto, don't care what it is. Don't over leverage yourself. That's just how I handle it. Then you can sleep at night and not worry about it. All right, well, I hope today's video was helpful, maybe from an emotional standpoint, to help you kind of digest this decrease and decline in Bitcoin's value or other cryptocurrencies' value, that it's okay. It's the natural state of things for things to go up and down, that these things do rotate around in cycles, and that, it's okay to watch these things go down in value, whether you're dollar cost averaging like me every week and you just keep buying, whether it's 80,000 Bitcoin or 20,000 Bitcoin or $200,000 of Bitcoin, you're still just buying the little bits every single week. But if you're trading, I do feel for you. I hope that you bought low and sold high and didn't do what I did and buy high and sell low. So as usual, this video is meant for informational purposes and educational purposes only. It is not financial advice. Until next time, peace.